Psalm chapter 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. In Psalm chapter 23, verse 3, it says, He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. So let's look at the very first part of this verse. It says, He restores my soul. So the shepherd restores our soul. So what does our soul need restoration from? Well, in the Christian life, we have a tendency to not trust in the Lord like we should, and to not put our attention on him like the Bible instructs us to. Now, many times what happens over that time is that we end up feeling down, maybe get a little bit depressed. Sometimes it's described as feeling downtrodden. And when we get pulled down, it's hard for us to get back up again. It's hard for us in our own strength just to get back up and have our fears and our thoughts and whatever's pulling us down lifted from us. We need that restoration. Philippians chapter 4, 6 through 7 says, Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. Well, this restoration connects to what we discussed yesterday about putting our anxiety and fears aside. When we are pulled down, we have a tendency to look at all the things around us. And we look at things, at what things that we can go to help us kind of get out of that. Perhaps it might be in the form of fellowship with a friend or another believer, maybe to help lift up our spirits a little bit. Sometimes we look at other things like comfort foods, the food and the drink that we enjoy most that would typically get us out of our dumps and get us into a happier spirit. Sometimes it might be a familiar game, or it might be some form of entertainment. Other times it might be simply something to soothe ourselves and our troubled hearts. And we might go and find comfort in drugs, whether they're prescription or not, or even alcohol. But the Lord reminds us here that when we get downtrodden, when we are buried with the worries of life, when our fears overtake us to the point where it just feels like we can't even breathe, when the sorrow of life has numbed us, that instead of us looking at what will fulfill us in that moment, we instead need to look back and put our focus on God. And remember that even though our life may not be turning out like we want it to, even though the circumstances may not be coming together like we thought they would, it's not tripping God up at all. God's got this. He is totally in control. And he will help us to overcome whatever is in our life, because ultimately he wants to restore our soul. He wants us to have peace of mind. And instead of us focusing on these other things that are surrounding us, we need to go to the Lord in prayer. We need to take our thoughts, these thoughts of anxiety, these thoughts of fear, these circumstances that we're stuck in life, the things that are numbing our lives, we need to take all of these things and take them before the Lord and leave them at Jesus' feet and allow him to do with it whatever he will. We need to take all of our thoughts and our dreams and our focus and all of our designs and give them to Jesus and say, Jesus, do with them what you will. Lead me in life wherever you want me to go, because ultimately wherever Jesus leads us is what we're going to have the most peace and the most happiness in. When we try to fill our lives with the things that we want most, we will never have joy. We'll never have that blissful, sweet peace. We will only have that kind of peace the more that we trust in the Lord. Trust in God. Rely on him to give you peace. Give things over to him. Don't worry about what's going on in this life. He wants to restore our soul. He's going to take care of us. Remember, There are no surprises in God's mind. There's no surprises in his life. We're surprised all the time. We're surprised day by day, hour by hour. But God, in his wonderful goodness, is never surprised. Jesus, our good and great shepherd, is always there to lead us down the right path. We just need to trust that his path is the right path instead of trying to fill in the gaps with our own desires. We're all guilty of this at times, and we need to give this over to the Lord instead. Well, thank you again for joining me today. I hope this time has been a blessing to you. I hope and pray that this series and this time in Moments in Truth has been a great blessing to you, and that you'll come back and find out more of what we have in store tomorrow as we continue to study together Psalm chapter 23. Have a great day, and God bless.